Hello everybody and welcome to episode 12 of the Little Black Cat Knits podcast, a podcast all about knitting and crochet and sometimes cross stitch and sometimes sewing. I am your host Ashley, coming at you from New Jersey, where I live with my husband, my two sons, and my little black cat. You say hi? He's mad at me. Today is Monday, May 18th, and it's been 2 weeks since I podcasted last. I decided to keep the bookshelf backdrop. I thought it was nice, and yeah, welcome if this is your first time here. Hello if you are a returning viewer. Welcome back. Thanks for coming to hang out. I have a couple finished objects and a couple whips today, so let's just jump right in, shall we? I have two FOs, both of which are blankets. The first is this malt blanket by Tin Can Knits. I knit this for my younger son Paul. I started it when I was pregnant with him. And the other day I said to myself, you know what, this has been sitting here for over a year. I think it's time it gets off the needles. So I powered through, got it done. It needs to be washed because we took it for a walk the other day and it fell in through some pollen, but you know, it's okay. And yeah, I knit that out of Karen Pound of Love, Lion Brand Pound of Love. I know it was like one of those big 1 pound baby yarn skeins. It was leftovers from a blanket I knit for my friend's son. I know it's in the color Oxford Grey. I apologize if you hear the vacuum. My husband is downstairs vacuuming. I apologize. I'm trying to get through this pretty quickly because my son's napping and I'm hoping to get it done before Paul wakes up. So that is the malt blanket by Tin Can Knits. Just slammed my tooth with the straw. Wonderful. Yeah, that's that. Moving right along. My second FO is the Flag Afghan by Lion Brand. It is done! We opted to go with the Betsy Ross stars instead of the stars in straight lines. Also, if anybody has any tips on how to sew these things on, that'd be great, because I thought I had them all tacked down. I tacked them down to each of the points of the stars, but they're getting so roughhoused because Keith likes to keep it on the back of the couch, so they're getting like roughed around from the kids and the cat and Keith, and now they're starting to lift and like come apart, which makes no sense because I like tacked them down and triple knotted them, and I have no idea why they're coming apart the way that they're coming apart. But if anybody has any tips on sewing things like this down, that would be great, because it's kind of bumming me out that they're all coming apart. But it is finally done. Keith is super excited. He immediately put it on the back of the couch, as I was saying. And yeah, I crocheted this out of Lion Brand Heartland in the Redwood and Olympic colorways, and then Red Heart Soft Essentials in white. I think I used either a 5.5mm or a 6mm crochet hook. Whatever the pattern called for is exactly what I did. And yeah, this was such a great, fun, mindless crochet project. And I'm actually kind of bummed that it's done, because I actually have no crochet on my hooks right now, which is like insane for me. Normally I always have at least like one crochet blanket project going. But I don't know, I have so much other stuff that I'm like working on that I just haven't. Maybe I'll rectify that and do that after I finish one of these things that is pressing and needs to get done ASAP. Speaking of which, I guess that puts us into whips. Huzzah! The first whip I want to show you is I'm just going to call it the Harry Potter sweater. I know that it has I think it's Mrs. Weasley's homemade Christmas sweater. It's from the Harry Potter knit book by Tanis Gray, but I'm just going to refer to this as the Harry Potter sweater because it's just easier that way. And here we go. The back piece is almost done. My little licorice, Slytherin licorice, is where I was last week. Oh man, stitches, please don't fall off. Please don't fall off. But yeah, I'm right now, as you can see, we've got the armholes going, so now I'm just knitting until the proper length for the armholes, and then I'm so close to the back being done. And then once the back is done, I get to cast on the front. Oh, guys, I'm flying through this because I don't know if you can tell just how excited I am to finish this and wear it. My friend Nicole texted me the other day when I was working on it, and she was like, "You are gonna live in that thing when it gets cold." I said, "Yeah, I am, because so excited." I'm knitting this out of Red Heart Super Saver, and I believe the green is called Emerald, and the gray that I'm using for the ribbing, and which is what I will also use for the A when it's done, is Loops and Threads Impeccable in the true gray colorway. I'm knitting these on US 5.5 millimeter. I'm using straight needles. I kind of wish I was using a circular because of the amount of stitches. They kind of slide off all the time, but my 9s are currently on another project, so I figured I'm just knitting back and forth, and I'm just gonna use the straights. But that is my Harry Potter sweater, and I'm so excited. I'm like, ugh. It's so funny because like I sit and I edit and I'm like, oh man, I love that sweater. And then like I'll work on so many other things, and then like it'll be like Friday or Saturday and I'll be like, oh crap, I haven't worked on the Harry Potter sweater in a while. I gotta do that. So this podcast keeps me working on stuff. So thanks guys. I'm gonna have my sweater because I want to have content for you. So yeah, that's been getting a lot of work. It's weird. It's like my Friday Saturday project. I don't get it. I don't get it. That should last. Let's see what's next. Why does everything I have to live in like gigantic bags? Okay, so next, while I was watching this week's episode of Defending Jacob, we all know how much I love that show, and subsequently Chris Evans, or maybe it's the other way around. Anyway, I did the heel flap and gusset on my Rose City rollers. These are being knit on Chiaogu 9-inch circulars, size US 1, 2.25 millimeter, out of the Once Upon a Corgi Bears Beats Battlestar Galactica colorway. So right now I am just moving along on the foot, which is wonderful because the quicker I get this done, the quicker I have a pair of socks, and then this needle is free, and then I can cast on a new pair. That being said, these are quickly becoming my Friday morning Defending Jacob knitting project because I just watch and I just go. It's great. I wish Keith would stop vacuuming. But we have to take the time when Paul is napping to get things done. These are living in my pineapple bag that I made myself. Yeah. Did I cover everything about that? I feel like I'm going really fast today, guys. I think it's because I actually did my hair this morning, like curled it, my makeup, like I'm on like, not I'm going anywhere, it's quarantine. But I don't want to like leave Paul in there if he wakes up for too long, so I apologize if I'm talking very fast. I'm gonna try to slow it down. Let's go. Whew. Okay. Deep breath. Okay, next project is this Bloomsbury Kids by Svetlana. Why are there so many strings coming out of this? And I think I did either 1 or 2 more repeats of the lace, my Luke's Diner Cup Progress Keeper from Simply Serving. So I'm pretty sure I did either 1 or 2 lace repeats. And this is a sweater for my best friend Katie's daughter. This lace motif is just gorgeous. I'm so excited about this thing. I'm knitting this out, what's this? I don't know if that's leftover ball band from something. It's just a white yarn from Stash. Pretty sure it was probably Karen. Yeah, that one I've noticed every time I work on it, I do like 1 pattern repeat or like 2 pattern repeats, and like I need to just like I go by the pattern repeat, like if that makes sense. Like it's like, oh okay, we'll just do one pattern repeat today, or we'll do two. I really need to start getting a move on that though, because I want to get the body done and the sleeves done. I want to get Katie this sweater for her daughter because it was supposed to be a Christmas present and then I dropped the ball. Don't worry, I bought her daughter Christmas gifts, but I was supposed to knit her this and another thing, and I dropped the ball because I overloaded my plate and didn't start my Christmas knitting early enough, which is not a shocker here. And I was supposed to knit her another sweater too, which I have the pattern for, which I am going to knit her that one also. But her birthday is in July, and I'm hoping maybe I can at least get one done in July so she can have like a birthday present. I don't know, guys. I bite off way more than I can chew when it comes to like knitting things for other people. This blanket for Paul, case in point, over a year. But it's done now. And then we used it on a walk and he promptly dropped it, and then the stroller ran over it and it got covered in pollen. And now it needs a wash. But I did pull it out of his hamper so I could show you guys, because I don't like sticking pictures in unless I absolutely have to, if that makes sense. Anyway. Staying on track with the things I'm knitting for other people. Oh, I'm knitting that on, that's where my 9s are. So yeah, things I'm knitting for other people and why my stuff never gets done. I should like make a series and call it that, because this is what happens. But I am knitting the Gramps cardigan for my new niece or nephew who will be here in July. And I cast this on yesterday because if our governor decides to, you know, loosen up the reins and let us do things, my sister-in-law's baby shower will be, why is this hair? Will be next month. So I'm on a little bit of a deadline, and all I've had so far for her was that baby blanket, which I've showed like weeks and weeks and weeks ago that I crocheted. And since we can't really go shopping, I don't really like buying like baby clothes online. Like, well, I'll do it for my kids because I know what I like, but like I'd rather go in store if I'm buying for somebody else, if that makes sense. And since we can't really do that right now, sorry, I keep touching my hair, but like this spot right here is like, it's bothering me. But yeah, so I figured I wanted to get one more thing done so that she could have at least something more than just the blanket. And so I ordered some yarn from Michael's and did a curbside pickup. And we're starting with this. I cast this on yesterday and I'm already almost done with the body because I'm a maniac and I just want to get it done to make sure that like it's done, especially because like I've never done a button band before, like buttonholes, and I've never done pockets. So I want to get like all the stuff I know how to do like done as quickly as possible, so that way I have a little bit of room for error if I have issues with like the new techniques, if that makes sense. So this is what I have so far. We do not know if she's having a boy or a girl. She wants to keep it a surprise, so I went with neutral colors. They're both Bernat Softy Baby in the white, and then the contrast color for the shawl collar, button band, and like the tops of the pockets and the ribbing is going to be in flannel. I figured since we don't know the gender, gray and white is neutral, both, you know, doesn't matter. And these are the buttons I picked out. Like how they look cookies and cream. I love them. The backs are like oh. And I figured like these will all go so nicely together. So this has been taking up all of my knitting time for the past 2 days, which this is the Gramps by Tin Candles. Did I say that? I'm all over the place today, guys. But yeah, I am trudging right along. And this yarn, you guys, is like incredibly soft. Like, I know it's like baby yarn and that's why it's incredibly soft, but whoa, it is a dream to knit with. Like I don't, like I've noticed like when I like, I'm like focusing on one thing, like my hands get tired of like feeling the same yarn, if that makes sense. Does that happen to you? It happens to me all the time. So that's like this yarn that doesn't happen to me with, which is fantastic. Did I hit that? Yes, I did. So yeah, that is going to be getting a majority of my attention until it's done, and hopefully it will be finished by the next podcast. I don't see why it wouldn't. because it's really gonna be real close to when her baby shower should be. So I gotta get this done. That is that. The last whip I have to talk about is a design I have been working on. Now, if you guys know and have been watching for a while, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you have not, let me fill you in. I saw Knives Out back in December, and we all know my obsession with Chris Evans, and how much I love him. And when I went to go see Knives Out, my husband is so sick and tired of me talking about this damn sweater, by the way. He's like, you and Chris Evans. Can't help it. Anyway, went to see the movie, saw this sweater. Oh, look at it. It's beautiful. Decided I needed it. Couldn't find a pattern for it anywhere. Not even anything similar. So I said to myself, okay, you can do this. Design it. I spent so many hours staring at this sweater, trying to pick out stitch patterns. I've ripped it out 6 times. And because I'm going based off of pictures of Chris Evans in this sweater, I am kind of, it's going to be basically his size because I want to start it there, make sure everything's correct before I try to like grade down and like figure out like smaller sizes and stuff. So really I'm knitting myself a Chris Evans size sweater, and it's fine because it's going to be huge and comfy and glorious when it's done. But I thought I'd finally got the center panel, which is the one that was giving me the hardest time, figured out. And then Keith and I were watching Knives Out, and on, you know, on Blu-ray in high def on my TV, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, the center panel for the sweater that I'm designing is wrong. So it got ripped out again, and then it got put in timeout because I was like, I'm not casting on that many stitches. Again, I think I'm at like 236 stitches just for the back and front panels. It's insane. And then I said to myself, you know what? I really want this sweater. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna figure out the center panel. And you guys, I finally figured it out. I finally figured it out. I'm so happy I don't have to rip this thing out again, because I know I'm gonna have to obviously do this again. This is gonna be the back panel. I know I'm gonna have to do it again for the front panel, but I may do a sleeve in between just to break up the sheer amount of stitches. But it's really just the ribbing that kills me. Once I get to the actual cabling, it's not that bad. But here it is. So far, it's cables on cables on cables. And oh god, I'm just so happy I finally got this center panel worked out. Oh my god, this has been months in the making. I am knitting this on both US size 6 and US size 8s, and I'm knitting it out of Red Heart, is it 1 pound Super Saver Jumbo? I don't know, it's Red Heart and the colorway is Aran. It is going to be knit in pieces and seamed together, and I'm not doing it in the traditional way, if that makes sense, just because I can't figure out how this sweater is actually constructed by looking at pictures, and from what I'm seeing is you can clearly see the seams, so I knew it was knit, like it's seamed. Obviously it's clearly not hand knit, like I'm pretty sure it was like, you know, manufactured, but the reason I'm not knitting it the way you would think to knit a bottom up in pieces seamed together sweater is because I would pull up the picture and point it out there, but I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But so the sleeve, so you know how normally, like, you know, here's your sleeve. It's a sleeve, it starts here and it's like seamed like right on the bicep. And when I was first trying to figure out the stitch patterns for this, I was looking at that and I was like, what the hell is that? And then it finally figured it out when I sent it to Nicole. I was like, is that like two separate, like what is, she was like, yeah, no, I see the seam. So let me see if I can point out what I'm talking about here. Twitter. Okay, hold on. As if I don't Google this enough. Okay, so yeah. If you see right here, this is still, ah, crud. Get back in here. This right here is still part of the body, and then the sleeve connects here. So I was like, well, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm figuring it out. I'm navigating it. It might be the most confusing thing possible. When it's all said and done, and I try to grade it down and decide if I actually want to publish this pattern or what, which I probably will publish it, and look for test knitters and stuff. I mean, this isn't going to be for like months and months and months because it's taking me a long time. There's so many cables and the stitch count is huge. It's probably going to be really confusing. Even when I'm writing it out, like as I'm knitting it to like figure things out for myself, I'm confusing myself, which is like not a good sign. But then again, I'm also just like jotting things down, like, oh, I gotta do this and count this, and I'm literally going off of pictures as references, so I mean, we shall see when the back panel gets done. And go from there. Yeah, that pretty much wraps up all the crafty content this week. I didn't get a chance to cast on my So Faded yet, simply because I have to get this Gramps done for my sister-in-law. And so that's really going to be the priority. But I think once I get that cast off and finished and everything, then I'll probably cast on the So Faded, because I'm dying for that sweater. And I have all the yarn is just sitting in a bag, like, waiting for me to use it. And I think I want to, like, get out of my head and start the quilt that I bought all those fabrics for. Like, I keep not doing it because I'm, like, just, like, anxious that, like, it's, like, I'm gonna screw it up, and I have to be like, well, if I don't do it, I can't get better at it. So, yeah. I think that's all the crafty content. That's all I really have to talk about. So if that is all you came here for, thank you for stopping by. Subscribe if you want to come hang out with me more. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. And if you want to stay and chat for a little bit longer while I give you some life updates, then we'll go into that now. It's still quarantine. We're on day, like 60 something, 700, I don't know. It seems like we've been in quarantine forever. Nothing has really changed. It's just been a lot of knitting and crafting and going for walks and drives, which we're gonna go for a drive today, after Paul gets up and he eats his lunch and stuff, because it's like, it's warm, but it's like cloudy, so it's like not really nice enough to go for a walk, but we want to get out of the house. So we're gonna do that today. We've been watching a lot of movies and baking cookies and just a lot of popcorn happening. We watched 3 Disney movies in one day. Keith's almost done beating his one video game that he's been working on for a while now. We started rewatching Friends, so we have the entire series on DVD, so that's been fun. Yeah, I mean, I know everybody's kind of pretty much in the same boat right now as far as like there's not really much to talk about in the life update area because it's like we're all kind of stuck at home not doing anything. But yeah, I think that's it. I guess that's it. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have much else to talk about. I'm hoping next time I podcast that I will have not only that baby sweater done, but also some other things, maybe new cast-ons. I feel like I'm showing the same like 4 projects every week, but I know myself. If I cast on too many things, then things sit forever. Paul's blanket is the perfect case in point on that one. Just like Bruce's Hogwarts Mini History has not been touched, and all it needs is sleeves. So I have no excuse there. I hate sleeves. I hate them. They're so tedious and long, and the worst. Sleeve Island is like a real problem for me. I have no excuse. I really need to like just finish that one. And yeah, I guess that's about it. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and hanging out with me and chatting about knitting and things for a little bit. And I will see you guys in the next one. Happy knitting. Bye.